Shut up and sit down.
Welcome to the Health and Wealth Podcast with your hosts, Tim and Carter.
What's trending, Enrichers? Carter Wilcoxon, founder of CSI Financial Group here, with my co-host and former wealth advisor, Tim James, founder of
ChemicalFreeBody.com and your new health advisor. This is the show where we reveal the connection between physical and financial abundance.
Started.
What's that?
Let's keep going. We've started. Let's go.
Well, all right. Well, hey, welcome back, Enrichers, then. There you go. There's our typical intro. But yeah, the show's already started. So we sort of had our own improv intro, Enrichers. So, hey, sit back and relax and get ready to enjoy a very fun advisor that we have been, talking with for a while now. And, for those of you out there, please listen no matter what. Even though he's a Longhorn, he's worth hearing. Just listen to him. He's great.
This man. Awesome. Boo this man.
So, let me go ahead and bring in my co-host, Mr. Tim James. Tim James, how are you, buddy?
Oh, I'm doing awesome. So glad to be here. Thank you, everybody. Thank you so much. So happy to be back. So you're going to hear some sound effects today because I have a new, what'd you call it? It's a board.
Soundboard, yeah.
Soundboard. Our podcast producer, Justin, over at GMP Production, told me to get this. He came over and helped me set it up. This is the inaugural run. So you might hear a few little things here and there throughout the show to kind of spice it up. I'm be me playing around on my soundboard, but I am excited to be here. Excited to have Adam in the house with us today. He's got a great attitude. I'm excited to hear his backstory and then just, talk about health and wealth.
Yeah, it's awesome. So Adam Keller, coming in hot from the Midwest, right? So Adam, we were just talking pre-show and everything about how you're going to be in my neck of the woods. I'm obviously in Phoenix, as the Enrichers know and everything. Mr. Tim James coming in from Portland, Oregon and everything. So we are going to go ahead and do a little bit of a backstory on you, and all of our Enrichers really want to know sort of like what led you to wanting to be a CFP and an overall a planner. And typically that's someone who has a heart for helping people and everything. So I know that we're going to get into some pretty cool, unique things. I know when we had our initial interview about having you be on the podcast, I was really excited about getting you on here and everything. So let's go back in time a little bit and share with our listeners on what sort of sent you down this path of becoming a financial planner.
Yeah, like every good relationship, career, et cetera, is really from a referral. So we all love referrals, right? Yep. I was an international business major in college at the University of Texas at Austin and studied in Spain. And one of the gentlemen with whom I studied was a year ahead of me. So I was going to come back, go to senior year. He was graduating and going to work for American Express Financial Advisors out in the Los Angeles area. And so kind of file that away. I go back to school. I graduate. I go to work overseas for a year and some change, and come back and just started pumping my resume out and shooting it to all my buddies within my network. And lo and behold, that buddy whom I'd studied with said, "Hey, I know the hiring manager at American Express in Dallas. You should go meet with him." I did, and it happened to coincide with having met with a friend of the family who is kind of an aptitude tester / career guidance counselor. And we had gone through some stuff, and financial advisor was one of the careers that he narrowed things down to. I love math. I love people. I love relationship businesses. When I was working overseas, it was highly sales oriented. And so we'd be in a country 3 to 4 months. We'd sell a program. We'd put it together. I'd never get to see the people that I interacted with on that to see if it was valuable, if it came to fruition, what they were looking for. And I think this provided that opportunity to use a little bit of math and then to engage folks in a relationship that ideally would be long lasting. And 16 years later, gosh, we've got clients that have been clients 15, 16 years. So thanks be to God, it's working out that way.
So you were at the University of Texas. Now, did you grow up in Texas, or is that just so tell us a little bit about, what it was like, growing up. Obviously Friday Night Lights, right? I mean, football is crazy in Texas. Did you play, some sports? Give us a little bit of that background.
Yeah, well, I have to say before I even get to mine, my oldest daughter is now 13 and she's on the drill team. And so she performs Tuesday Night Lights at their games. And it's so cool going back into that vibe, which I have not been in years. But yeah, I'm a nomadic Texan. So I was born here in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. I've lived down in the Rio Grande Valley on the border with Mexico. I've lived in Austin, which is where UT is. Lived in Fort Worth, Waco, Victoria, you name it. Pretty much all up and down the I-35 corridor. And yeah, as a kid growing up, my dad, I guess I come from good genes in that respect. He was a hurdler at Iowa. He was a Hawkeye. So I did track. I played basketball, all those kind of things. They kept me out of trouble probably. And tying into the health side, I think to this day, I love to go get a good track workout in. I can't play basketball anymore because my feet are torn up, old white guy syndrome here. But yeah, man, what's that?
We'll fix that.
Yeah, I need that. Come on, Tim, share some knowledge, man.
Basketball is like, I think about to my injuries, playing football, baseball, but most of my big injuries were hoops. I mean, it's pretty a rough sport. There's no pads, there's no nothing. And
yeah,
I twisted my ankle bad, man. It was like,
that's no joke. I was a quarterback for like junior high. And to your point, I did not get hurt at all playing football, but I got knocked out a couple times playing basketball, blew my ankles up, all that good stuff.
Jam your fingers.
Yeah.
Just weird stuff happens.
Yeah. Turf toe, but in basketball.
Yeah.
So, look, Adam, you got a 13-year-old daughter. Is that your only child, or you got some other kids? Talk about a little bit about them.
Yeah, 2 girls. So 13-year-old daughter and a 9-year-old daughter. She'll turn 10 in November. Those are our 2. My wife, Lori, and I tried for a third, and I think God said, look, 2 Keller progeny is ample. We don't need any more of your seed running around this earth.
Oh, that's funny.
Where were you guys at in this picture, Adam? It's you and your family holding arms. There's a huge tree behind you.
So that is in Sequoia National Park.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
And Kings Canyon. Oh, my gosh. Those, by the way, that was 2019. I did not know that sequoias and redwoods were 2 different trees. I thought they were the same thing. I learned something on that trip, and those trees are amazing.
We're always learning, enrichers. We're always learning, aren't we?
Yes, that's why we call them enrichers, because we're always educating.
Amen.
Can't stop learning.
Can't stop learning. Stop learning.
I mean, you can, but then you die.
Yeah, that's exactly right. If you stop learning, you stop. If you stop moving, you die. Right. So
that's like Zen wisdom right there, right?
You don't use it, you lose it.
Yes.
There you go. There you go. 100%. Well, hey, I want to hear a little bit more about overseas. You were in Spain. I want to know, how young were you? What attracted you to being, going over to Spain, and maybe there's some other areas. I know one of my most favorite places on the planet that I've ever been to was Lisbon, Portugal. And I know that neighbors, and I never even imagined, again, we were talking pre-show, like I used to think Phoenix, whenever I was, in Arkansas, I thought Phoenix, the desert, was like the Sahara. Right, you got a bunch of camels running around and everything, right? Well, I was thinking the same thing. I never thought to myself, Lisbon, Portugal. I mean, like, what's cool about that place? Why are we going there for this trip? Amazing, right? So, talk a little bit about what it was like being in Spain as an American.
Man, I'm a little bit jealous because I haven't been to Portugal, and it is certainly on my list. But Spain was awesome. I was there when I was 20, actually turned 21 in Spain, ran with the bulls, much to the chagrin of my mom. That was her one thing she said not to do. And so I sent her a postcard from there. But didn't die. That was good.
There you go. Live to tell about it.
Yeah, Spain was amazing. I think traveling is always wonderful because you get out of your own norm. You get to meet folks who have different perspectives on life. I love cultures. I was a Spanish minor, so it was cool to get to practice a little bit of Spanish as well. I loved it. I'd retire there in a heartbeat. I'd go buy a piece of property there. But we have both sets of grandparents that are alive and kicking, and they're awesome. And I would hate to take my kiddos away from their grandparents.
Sure.
So, but I think otherwise we'd be back overseas. So it's awesome. And then I came back here, finished school, then went to work for a company that was based in Belgium, up in the Flemish-speaking part. So Belgium's divided into the French-speaking and the Flemish-speaking. And we were in a really small town where there were probably more bicycles than cars, really close to the border with Germany. But we did our projects in Turkey, Romania, and Azerbaijan, or as my wife calls it, Azerbaiwhat. And those were great too. I never would have chosen to go there because I was hoping they would send me to Latin American countries with Spanish being a minor. But now I'm thankful they did. I met some amazing folks that we still keep in touch with, and it was awesome.
That is an area that, you know, it really is, you know, spectacular if you get a chance to go over and well, for you, by the way, if you get a chance to go to Lisbon, definitely, you know, take that opportunity, because it was our favorite place. We've been to many different places. I mean, we went to Monte Carlo for a trip one time, and that was really, really cool. But Lisbon, you know, it was just so like down to earth, and they loved their country, and the people were just super awesome. And then I remember one time they had like these little cars. You were talking about like you went to a place where more bikes than cars. Well, because a lot of the roads are really small, right?
For sure.
They didn't build them like they build the super freeways here in America, right? So, and a lot of it, it's very mountainous. So you're like meandering down through stuff. So, you know, riding bikes, pretty normal over there. But one day we rented these like little, I don't want to say go-karts. I mean, they were sort of like, you know, those funny car, you know, fast track.
Did they have engines in them?
They had engines in them. Absolutely.
It wasn't a Tesla go-kart?
No, it was like one step up from like a golf cart almost, right? Like
a gator or something.
Totally. So but it was enclosed and everything, but it had rails on it and you know, doors and the whole thing. And we took them downtown. What's that?
Probably had cup holders for your beer.
It was wine because you were in Lisbon. It was wine.
Now Carter drinks water, so we're very proud of him.
Out of glass containers. Yes.
Hey, wait a minute.
For a year, and he's awesome.
What? Why don't you drink?
Younger. Oh, look at that.
Why don't you drink Turkish Rocket? You should have that, bro.
Oh, wow, that's cool.
Dude, I don't even know what that is.
That's your homework. You got to go figure it out.
It was in a glass bottle, so I'm happy about that.
Yeah,
is that water or vodka?
It's like ouzo. If you had ouzo, it's like that licorice flavor deal. But it's so I told you one of the places I was is Turkey, and that's like the Turkish version of that. So
okay, got it.
So
that's like going to
coffee beans in it, little snifter.
East Coast sours. Every culture has their drink. Like Germany's like beer.
Yeah,
strong beer,
no doubt.
Room temperature.
You run the beer's so strong you could run a golf cart on it.
And it has to be wielded by fraus that can hold like 14 steins, and
it's crazy.
Yeah.
It's one place I've never been. I've never been to Germany. So I'm jealous of you because you've been there, obviously.
Yeah, but not enough. I'm only really up in Berlin, Dusseldorf, and it was mostly on business stuff. I'd really love to go to Bavaria down there and be in Munich for Oktoberfest, and I think that'd be a blast.
That would be. It'd be a total blast. And Richards, hop on board. We're all going. Here we go.
I feel bad. He tips about health and all. I'm like, I just want to go drink a lot of beer and do things like that.
A lot of people do. That's okay. We'll just clean you out. No biggie. Keep it clean.
Yeah, absolutely. We sure will. So, so when you come back to the States, you know, was there any adjusting whenever you got back? Because you've been gone for a while, and like, so you're like, man, I remember it being different than that or whatever. Talk a little bit about the adjustment.
Man, I think for sure it's funny. Every time we leave a country, you'd almost feel like you left a girlfriend behind, and you have this like 2-week period of withdrawals of like, I miss it. No country's ever going to be like this. I just need to sit in my room and look at pictures for a little bit. And so, you know, I think being back in the U.S., it was good because Texas is home, you know. But part of you wonders like, man, am I going to have the chance to go back out and get to do this kind of stuff again? And so there's an adjustment for that. I think it's also funny, and this maybe ties into the health side, and Tim, maybe you can attest to this, but hey, Texans like to eat, right? And we like to eat like Tex-Mex, queso, fried foods, throw it all in the mix. And you notice folks that are a little bit more robust, you know, they enjoy their food a little bit more here. And so you just kind of
call it as it is, that we're overweight.
Yes. We're trying to be diplomatic.
Yeah, we don't have to. That's I think that's the problem with all this cancel culture and all this stuff going on. It's like, just call it as you see it. You know, the reality is like, you know, when I was 42 pounds overweight, I was overweight, and, you know, and that's, I was suffering. So,
and I think part of it,
I don't like that. I'm glad I'm not there anymore.
Amen. I think part of that's our culture, right? So that's part of the things I noticed from the adjustment standpoint was like in Spain, for instance, and in Portugal, I imagine it's exactly the same. In August, they take the whole month off, right? Mm-hmm. And they get away. And I think what I noticed in coming back into the US was a different appreciation for work life. And I don't think it has to be one way or the other, but I certainly learned things, not only in Western Europe, but also in the developing countries that were instrumental, I think, in shaping the way that I view my work, how that relates to my personal life, how that relates to how I'm involved in the community. And I mean, the developing countries were amazing. We'd go outside of the capital city and it would be like you reverted back 400 years. And I remember walking in the streets of a city called Brașov, which is kind of northern Romania. And I mean, there were like donkey-drawn carriages with wooden wheels, but the people saw this big-eared white kid that obviously was not from there walking in their street, and they'd go, hey, come into my house and eat with me. Obviously, it was in Romanian, and I didn't fully understand it, but they were inviting me in and super generous, share everything. And you go, from an American standpoint, you guys have nothing, but you're super happy and you're generous and you're willing to share everything you've got. And I go, that had a really big effect on just the way that I look at what we're here to do. You know, is building wealth paramount? Is your bank account balance the most important thing in the world? Is that what makes you successful? And maybe that's because that leads into the unhealthy piece. We sit behind a desk all day. We feel like we have to work so hard. We forget to take care of ourselves, to be healthy, to spend time with our family and all that kind of stuff too. So,
the hell with all that.
Well, and you know, Tim, I don't know on that point. I don't know if it was one of our recent podcasts or if we were having a conversation or if I was having a conversation with somebody else, but they were like, if you're a billionaire and you have all the money in the world, right? And like, you have like a sore throat and you feel horrible, whatever. All that money in the world, the only thing you can think about is how bad you feel. You can't think about all the great stuff and all the money that you've got and everything. So, and again, that was really the purpose of our podcast. And this is why we call it the Enrichers is, you know, we wanted to explain and explore with our guest about how all the money in the world, and I have this saying that I use on a regular basis. I stole this, but if money can solve your problems, you really don't have any problems at all, right? So without your health, your wealth matters not.
Let's just clear this up before we go to break, because Adam brings up a good point. So first off, there's two camps on this. Like, one camp is, you know, money can't buy love, right? And you can't buy everything with money, blah, blah, blah. Okay, we get that. But then there's the other side where people make they put everything off to the side for financial reasons, chasing the dollar and doing all this stuff, right? So what I want to clear up is that to understand that my opinion, my belief is that money is a valid form of abundance, but it's only one form of abundance. There are many forms of abundance on this time-space reality, this journey that we're on right now on Earth. So the problem is that our society and humans in general make money like the only way in which abundance can come to them. And what they're literally doing is closing and locking all of the other doorways and paths in which abundance can come to you, be it money, or it could be somebody gifting you something, or just walking up and a stranger bringing you in, and all of a sudden you've got food and shelter and you didn't even plan for it. It's just like the synchronicities. And again, I think all this goes back to when you follow your highest excitement in life, the things that give you the most excitement, that's the path, that's the map for your life. And when you do that, you just have to be very conscious about not having money be the only form of abundance, even though it is a valid form, again, in this time-space reality. So if we can look at it that way, I understand there's many forms of abundance, then I think that's a good place to start.
Well, I mean, I couldn't have said it any better. There's absolutely no doubt about that. And, you know, I feel like, in my humble opinion, we were put on this earth to live abundantly and have an abundant life. and everything. And that's why I've really been disappointed in what's been happening with our quote unquote leadership over the last 18 months and trying to disconnect us when abundance is, your family and your friends and your colleagues and those. I mean, I know that we're going to talk in this next segment, and I know we're coming up on a hard break here in a second, but having that get together, and building team building things that you are getting ready to go on yourself, Adam, and everything. It's so necessary to continue that abundance, but you can't do abundance by yourself. Abundance is a team effort, right? Amen. And of course, the other thing is the two different camps that Tim's talking about. There's also a balance to the abundance, right? I mean, people go over the top in certain areas, and I was going to bring up something like The Wolf of Wall Street and how over the top that was, but I digress.
Without it, we wouldn't have had that movie and that story, and that guy created a lot of contrast for a lot of people.
Yes. Yeah. No doubt about it. So,
so hopefully some people watch that movie and it's like, okay, well, just because I'm making a bunch of money, maybe it's probably not a good idea to snort cocaine off a lot of different things. Yeah. I can't remember what we're rated here, but I think we're okay for the explicited things.
That was good to lead us to the precipice and then just say it's up to you if you want to jump off of that.
Yeah. There you go.
It's funny too, because I think it's a lot of our ego is the reason why we enjoy. There's something about this, like stuff like that. We enjoy watching seeing that struggle and seeing people, come out of it. And I don't know what ended up happening. I know that that dude is he's teaching sales stuff still.
Oh yeah, Jordan Belfort. Oh
yeah, Belfort. Yeah, he's still teaching.
I listen to him on a regular basis, actually,
and doing stuff. I mean,
he's got his own podcast.
Yeah, we should have him on.
That's what I'm thinking. That'd be cool. It wouldn't be as cool as having Adam on.
Hey, but to your point, my ego is my biggest hurdle at times. I think that guy would be way cooler than having me.
All right. Well, let's take a quick break. When we get back, we'll talk about Adam's ego. We'll be right back.
Estate planning. What does that even mean? When the inevitable happens for everyone on this planet, your estate plan kicks into action. But first, let's start with what an estate is. An estate is simply everything you own. Now, here's the issue and what needs to be understood when this event occurs. You only have two choices on this plan. Number one, either you plan how your estate gets handed out and distributed to those you leave behind. Or number two, your state decides who gets everything you own. For the first time ever, you can now take complete and total control of this plan that you've been deprived of for most of your life and generations before you. You can get personalized assistance along the way with a team of specialists whose job it is to make sure you have true peace of mind. It's important to understand that estate planning is a journey, and rest assured that our team will be available to you all along the way and at every step. Welcome to Estate Plan, home of the last estate plan you'll ever need. To learn more, make sure to reach out to your local advisor licensed with us or go to our website for more information.
Welcome back, Enrichers. Tim James here with my co-host Carter Wilcoxon. Today in the house we have Adam Keller, certified financial planner or cardiac financial planner. So he's going to help you with your money so you don't have a heart attack. I'm not sure what that designation means. It's one or the other.
Certified
Adam,
fashion
glad
police.
to have you here. What was that?
Certified fashion police.
Oh, okay. Did you get that from your wife and your girls?
Yeah, I was like, if you see my wardrobe, you know immediately that's not true. So
you look
looking
dapper.
pretty good. You got the blue sport coat. You're looking good.
Yeah.
Look, it's all about COVID attire and then just being fun down low. So
nice.
Wow. Fancy green socks, Nikes. Were those Nikes?
Those are a little throwback, man.
Yeah, throwbacks. I have some old school Air Jordans that I can't even. They're old. I never like really wore them because I think they hurt my foot. So they're probably worth like $1 billion now. But I'm
Don't do it, my buddy. My buddy's got a closet full of old Jordans and different shoes, and he had a pair of the old Pippins, and after like 15 years he went to put his foot in it and the glue basically deteriorated and he pushed the sole right off, So don't try to put those old ones on, man. Keep them.
Yeah.
Then they'll be worth $1 billion.
Yeah. Awesome. Oh, so we were talking about ego.
Yeah.
And you were talking, Adam, about like that's your biggest struggle is letting go of your ego. And I think, that is something that especially men aren't even, there's no awareness around it in the beginning. Like I had no awareness about ego, nothing. I mean, people say, oh, you got a big ego or whatever. Like, oh, okay, yeah, whatever. Yeah, of course I do. You need a little bit of ego to be successful nowadays, right?
Right.
And just sit back and, like the old Chinese proverb, man wait on side of hill long time with mouth wide open before roast duck fly in. Right? That's a good one. Like, don't sit on your butt. You need to get out there and do something. And I connected action with ego or something. I don't know. But so tell us about when did you discover ego and what are you doing about it?
Yeah, I think for me, it's one of those things that it's disguised in a lot of ways. And for me, it was this idea of self-reliance and self-sufficiency. And you get raised like just, kind of like you said, get out and do something. Mm-hmm. And I think my folks always said, go work hard, you'll make things happen. And so you get let down by other folks, like at points along the way. And you figure out like, well, relying on other people sucks. So I'm just going to do it myself. And I am, quote unquote, a self-made man, which is such a fallacy. I think, Carter, to your point before, nobody does abundance on their own. We're not successful because of ourselves, but it's a really easy fallacy to fall into and believe. And so I think you kind of build up these walls. And part of that is you erect this structure around your ego to protect it too, so that you don't get hurt when you get let down. I don't know. I think it started I became aware of it through this career. We had really good leadership at American Express and Ameriprise and went through a lot of, different, almost like psychological training pieces that really helped you become self-aware as you get married, as you have kids. I think guys are inherently maybe more selfish, and you see it in the way that we interact with our wives, with our kids. So that was always good. And still discovering every day the extent of that and how to potentially, like you said, I think, Tim, like you said, it's important to have a little bit of ego, but just maybe not let it rule things, right?
Well, are you reading some books or something? Because you were like framing like a shroud around you. You're putting up walls. You're talking about this. So like, what books are you reading? Because that sounds like some of the teachings that I've learned. Are you reading a few books out there? What books are you reading over there, buddy?
Man, actually a guy across the hall gave me a book from Dan Harris, and now I can't even remember the name of it. I read it like 3 weeks ago. It's awesome. And it was really talking about meditation, things of that nature. Just finished a book called Making Sense of God from Timothy Keller.
No relation.
I know, right? I only read books by authors named Keller.
Helen.
She's my aunt. Just kidding.
She's my great aunt.
Exactly. Just
real estate company.
Yeah. Gosh, there are two other ones. I just finished Confessions by St. Augustine. That's like in Old English, by the way. So if you're not down to dissect that a little bit, maybe pump the brakes. And then it just slipped my mind, the one that I just finished, but it was a page turner. Obviously, it was so great that I remember it. I'll come back to you. What about you guys? What are y'all reading?
Man, that's a great question. I'm so busy building that I read just article after article after article about my profession, if you will, right? Trying to always embody this idea that we're in the knowledge for profit business. So the more I know, the more I can share, the more valuable I can become to somebody. And then that ultimately, that's how you win, as far as I'm concerned, what I call the relationship war. Because in my space, a lot of advisors are targeted for, trying to do business with them and everything. So if I can deliver, value every chance I get. So that's why, going back to the reading thing, I read a lot of articles, a lot of them on, estate planning, a lot of them on business development. I've got podcasts that I listen to as well. I've got, Tim brought his whole library over here. Let me tell you all the books. He's like this. Let me tell you all the books I'm reading, though.
Yeah. Ego.
There it is. I read. Hey, look, I listen to Tim's Health Hero podcast instead of reading books.
Nice.
Smart. Well, you're downloading a bunch of them then.
Hey, I need to read books on memory, but thanks be to God, Google's in the background. So the Dan Harris book was 10% Happier. And then the most recent one that I finished was The Undoing Project. Both legit, worth reading.
Nice. Nice. So the one I'm reading right now is called Perfect Love, Imperfect Relationships, Healing the Wound of the Heart by John Wellwood. Really good. And there's some really good ones in here. If the Buddha Got Stuck, a handbook for change on a spiritual path by Charlotte Castle, PhD. This one's really heavy. It's called Inward Revolution by J. Krishnamurti, bringing about radical change in the world. I actually, when I go home to Eastern Oregon, couldn't even believe it. I read this to my 81-year-old father, and he's over there going, yes, yes. He's just hanging on every word. He's got macular degeneration. He used to read like all the time, read cowboy westerns. This is really good stuff. This is a really good one called Being in Love by Osho. It's unbelievable. Like, especially for people that are having trouble in relationships and they can't figure out why they can't make a relationship work. Amazing. And this was the first one that was turned on to for spiritual path, was like The Power of Now by Eckhart Tolle. It's about living in the present. But I tell you what, I've been recommending this book for years for people with eyesight issues, and it's called The Bates Method. And like in the late 1800s, this dude like helped over 1,100 people get their eyesight back through the information in this book. And I thought, oh, it's just eye exercises, and I got it, and I never really read it. I bought it for my mom, and it was sitting at her house. And I'm like, you going to read this again? She's like, no. And I'm like, I'm going to read it. I started reading this. Oh my God. Like, everybody just needs to read the book to read it. Huh. It's like the amount of research and what this guy put it into, besides just, a lot of people in their 40s, the eyesight starts going.
Yep.
You are going to be spellbound, blown away, and you have no idea. It's not just eye exercises at all. And some of the stuff he's talking about in here is actually, it's quite profound. He's talking about our school system and how by the time, we get done with school, we have been basically indoctrinated and we don't even want to learn. It's pretty profound stuff. So I'll put the books down. But anyway,
that was called Better Eyesight for People Without Glasses.
Yeah, let me grab it. It's called The Bates Method for Better Eyesight Without Glasses. And it was William H. Bates, medical doctor. This was like,
it's so funny you say that, Tim, because, I'll never forget 2.5 years ago, my 50th will be in January, but 2.5 years ago, I'm like reading, I'm on my phone and I'm like, having to put it, and my wife's like, just go get some readers, like, because I can still see the golf ball 300 yards away. Right?
Well, when you read this, dude, you're going to throw your glasses away. I'm telling you, like, it's pretty profound stuff. I mean, or at least there's a path for you to kind of get off of your glasses. It's really cool.
Yeah. And they're just readers. So I can imagine that maybe I'm not Christina and my son, they have horrible eyeglasses or eyesight. Right. So, but sounds like fun for the whole family.
Yeah. It's a pretty profound thing. We actually see people just by, cleaning up their gut and their body and flooding their body with nutrients. A lot of people's eyesight's improved. Craig Sawyer, Navy SEAL that I've worked with recently. He's like, dude, it's like, my eyesight's getting better. Like, I haven't even shared with him the Bates Method yet. Didn't even know he had eyesight issues at all. Right. That guy's been through a lot of concussions and all the stuff that they do, blast and C4 and, all the things the Navy SEALs do. Adam, you have that. We were just talking about that earlier. There was that group of guys, Carry the Load or something like that. Isn't that the group?
Yep. That's correct. Yeah. So they're a solid group of guys founded by former Navy SEALs. And to your point, when we went to deliver that check, some of the stories they were telling us were awesome. We had just finished doing a 264-mile canoe race, and they were like, "Oh, that's awesome!" And we're like, "Yeah, right." Weak sauce, and we were like, "Why are you telling us that's awesome? You're SEALs, like you freaking your Monday morning is harder than that." When they were talking one time, they were on a training drill, and they were down underwater with their breathing apparatus and whatnot, and a Marine SEAL came down and bit onto the helmet that they were wearing, and his buddy's looking at him laughing because the SEALs latched onto the SEAL.
Right.
Picture that. And I'm going, how awesome is that? He comes up with these bite marks on his helmet, and I'm going, that had to be pretty awesome, hilarious, maybe a little bit scary.
Yeah.
Yeah, lucky it didn't bite his neck. Good Lord. Those things are like ninjas in the water.
Oh, they're so fast.
It's like an MMA dolphin.
Yeah.
Ready to beat you up.
Yeah.
We're going to rebrand, and that's going to be our mascot, an MMA dolphin.
I love
Crazy.
it. Well, hey, speaking of, so you just got through talking about Canoe, right? So talk a little bit about this, because I'm really curious, and I think you just talked a little bit about it. I want to know about the world's toughest canoe race.
Yeah, so it's the Texas Water Safari, and it goes down every June here in Texas. It starts in the center of the state in a small little area called San Marcos, and it meanders along the San Marcos River. There's a confluence with the Guadalupe, and then that'll take you all the way down to the Gulf of Mexico. So it's 264 miles total, or if you paddle like we do, it's probably like 700 because we're snaking side to side of the riverbanks. But it's awesome. So the teams that win it, they'll finish it in like 40 hours. It took Philip and myself 80, and you have to do it in 100. So there's checkpoints along the way, and they'll kick you off if you're behind. But our whole goal is not to die, have a little bit of fun. And our
finish.
goal is, yeah, exactly. And so we did. Our goal is to be at 75 hours. We were there at 80. So that part we didn't quite finish, but I think we had more Miller Lite on the way. We had better food.
That's what I was going to say. That's why the zigzagging.
Yeah. And maybe it was our eyesight, Tim. If you would have helped me out, I would have been able to see at night.
Well, let me finish this book and I'll get back to you.
That's awesome. So, well, just out of curiosity, how did that even happen? You're like, hey, you know what would be fun? It's a 264-mile canoe trip.
Exactly. Yeah. Philip, one of our business partners. So he comes into my office and just read an article in a magazine called Texas Monthly, and he plops it on my desk and says, "We're doing this." And I look at the picture, and I'm a pictures guy. I was like, "Well, that looks like a nice place. Do we get to drink beer?" And he's like, "Well, yeah, but it's a race." So I was like, I like adventure. So I said, "Giddy up." So really it was as easy as that. He just came in, said, "We're doing this." And I was like, "Okay, sounds good."
So obviously 80 hours, we're talking a few days here. Like, so do you have like camping equipment on the canoe and you go?
No, you could bring it. You can bring whatever you want, but whatever you start with, you typically have to port the whole way. And there's a lot of portages. So camping equipment just kind of gets heavy and weighty. So we slept about 3 hours along the way, and you just pull over to a bank, sleep, or try to sleep in the boat while the other one's paddling. So yeah, the idea is, that was my thought. I was like, "Oh, we get to camp out and have fun." He's like, "Dude, how many times do I have to tell you it is a race?"
It's like the Talamahara Indians on the river.
Yeah, exactly. Are those?
They just drink a bunch of beer and then they run like 200 miles with bare feet, or they actually make shoes out of like tires.
I heard that. I never got to read that book, but I thought, wow, that would be awesome to go meet those folks and just hear their stories.
Yeah, there's a podcast guest if I've ever heard it.
Yeah, it's awesome. One of my buddies, David Clark, may he rest in peace. He was an ultra marathoner, finished 30 100-mile races. His friend, Scott Jurek, I actually read Scott's book. It's a really good read. If you want another book, Eat to Run. And he talked about going down there, and like Scott ran like 24 hours. He ran like 180 some miles.
Oh my
God. He just
God.
ran for 24 hours straight and made it like 180 miles. So he went down and ran with the Talamahara Indians. And it's just, the book's really cool. He was like kicking the soccer ball, playing with 6-year-olds before a race, and like sprained or broke his ankle and just taped it up and ran it and finished it anyway. I mean, who runs 100 miles with a broken ankle?
Oh my gosh.
These people are ultra committed, not just running ultra marathons. It's crazy.
That's like the book Can't Hurt Me by David Goggins. I mean, that sounds like those two could be two peas in a pod and just go at it.
Yeah. Oh, I broke my foot. Well, I got a race tomorrow. No big deal. Just tape it up and run 100 miles.
I got another one. I got another foot.
Like if I had an ingrown toenail, I'm like, I'm not playing baseball today. And I love baseball. I love it. Let my toe hurt. I ain't doing it.
Well,
wait. I'm impressed that people in Portland say ain't. I didn't figure you guys would do that.
Well, I'm from Eastern Oregon, so I'm a transplant, but I'm going to be moving back soon. Getting rid of the crazy. We have like urine and feces in the streets, just like in the late 1800s, turn of the century, needles, masks falling over the place. You know, that's interesting is all the people here, all the homeless people, they don't get sick. There's no COVID. Wonder why that is. Maybe because they're getting vitamin D. They're outside all day long. It's crazy. Like the people that are running the show are obviously clueless because we have people leaving Portland. Businesses are leaving Portland. They're going to Texas and going to Florida. I know people are fleeing California as well. And it's not a conducive place for business. It's not safe. You know, when you have like, it's so frustrating. Like where we go trail run, almost every time I either see somebody like they're smash and grabs, there's broken windows, there's glass, they're always breaking windows. That's happening all over Portland now. All over Portland. Last night I went to see my son and the parking lot was overflow where he lives. And I was like, I had to park somewhere else and walk up this trail. And there was like, I see broken glass everywhere. I'm like, God dang it. So I make sure my car's all cleaned out. Everything's in the trunk because if they see anything, and they're out of there. You know, they just don't care.
It's such a beautiful place too. I've only been once and was blown away. Went up to Multnomah Falls and just even in the city with the was it the Willamette River? Is that what runs through there?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, man,
what a beautiful place. That sucks to hear that. I'm sorry.
Yeah, there's tents everywhere. It's like tent city everywhere. Garbage, trash. We're literally plummeting into a third world country. That's what's happening right now. Our infrastructure is a D-. That's so. And since we are doing that, I'm just going to put the sad trombone on. It's pretty bad up here in Portland, people.
Hey, I don't have a soundboard, but Raquel, one of our teammates, got me this for Christmas, and this is my favorite sound.
Oh, wow. That's good. That's a good one.
All right. Well, hey, I want to contribute.
Come on in. Yeah. I want to know why, Adam, have you checked out all the fantastic, amazing stuff that Carter's got going on in his career?
No. So I need to know more about that. He and I got to talk a little bit before doing this, obviously, and they've started some pretty amazing stuff, but I don't know your backstory. I don't know all that fun stuff. You told us that you were a hillbilly from Arkansas, which I love. Yeah. Beautiful place. So lay it on us, man.
Well, he helps CFPs double their income. That's what he does.
Yeah. Well,
and their time off.
And obviously this is about Adam Keller, right? This isn't about, Epic Services Company, while we created that to be the, estate and legacy planning solution for advisors and their clients who have typically been relegated to have to, create some sort of quasi relationship with an estate planning attorney, to get this work done. And there's actually other very well known, if you research it, companies that are doing some things that are similar to what we're doing. So it's outside the box for sure, but it's really about leveraging technology. But everything we've done over the last 4 years is built around elevating the client experience. So if I've heard once, I've heard 1,000 times about, from an advisor, especially when I'm sharing this with them. In fact, I'll share this quick story. When I first started doing the exploratory of this and using the software that was an underutilized software where we can get estate planning done for clients all over the country, no matter where they live, and using a technique called jurisdictional shopping, where we situs all of these trusts actually in Nevada. And that's something that a lot of people don't know that you can do. But whenever I went to one of my, in fact, the very first time we went on a trip together where I met this individual was in Lisbon, Portugal. So it was on that trip, ironically enough. So I'm talking to him and I'm like, hey, Steven, he's in Atlanta, Georgia. I'm like, hey, Steven, we're kind of sort of putting some stuff together. We're going to build this client acquisition model all around estate planning and delivering what we call the 3 E's, where we educate, enlighten, and empower, the masses of people, the mass affluent, in an area where they really not had access to it before. And I remember him talking to me, and I never forgot this. He said, Carter, I've got some clients that I used to be like, hey, you got to get your trust work done and everything. And I got this, I'm using a Southern drawl because he's got a real Southern accent. But he's like, Carter, I don't really, I had this attorney and, I sent him out to him. Then my clients had called me up and they were like, I got to get some more work done or whatever. And they just got tired of having to always change things or fix things and update stuff or whatever. So we, I took that to heart, and I'm like, man, well, our system, I think, solves for that problem. And the more and more and more I got to understanding how the software works, which I don't own the software, but the genius, as far as I'm concerned, that does own it, has been working on it, and it's been around since 1985, just completely underutilized. So long story short, I'm like, well, Stephen, that's kind of sort of the whole purpose behind what we call our 90 and 90 formula. Well, what's that? Well, 90-90 formula is where we can get 90% of a client's estate plan done in 90 minutes or less, regardless of where they live at in the United States, all from the comfort and safety of their own home. Now, obviously, this was 4 years ago. Now, what's actually happened is that what happened in 2020 was supposed to happen in 2030. It actually accelerated the digital transformation and the digital age that we're living in. And all of this stuff is all, technology and digital transformation. So I said, but here's why we call it the 90 and 90 formula, is because of what you just got through saying. It's that other 10% that most attorneys are not even going to tell you about, that, oh, by the way, for the rest of your life, you're going to have all these changes. And every time you do, you got to come back to me, and I got to charge you an hourly rate, and then we got to restate your trust, and we got to do all this stuff. They're not going to tell you all that stuff. Our system is that the reason why we call it that is that other 10% is that one constant that everybody's going to have to deal with for the rest of their lives, called change. And the beauty of the genius of the system, the entire ecosystem that includes all the necessary people, right? The multidisciplinary team approach that we employ, is that in real time, the client, who's now in total control, can be able to make any edits, updates, and changes in the system in real time, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year, with their annual subscription of $95 a year. Not $95 a month, $95 a year. So that means they have access to our onboarding team, what we call our outsourced estate planning team, and then what they end up ultimately doing in an environment just like this, they actually get to meet with the network attorney who's going to customize all of their distribution plans, right? One of the things that our advisors love about this the most, and you said this, I wrote it down, retention. The biggest fear for households is what's going to happen when I'm no longer here with my money. And if they do the proper planning and they actually have it set up for a distribution plan, spendthrift or not, by the way, what they end up having is, well, okay, as opposed to the typical outright distribution, which happens 66% of the time, outright distribution, what ends up happening is that now the relationship that the advisor had with the grantors, with the family, right, that you have this retention on, well, now all of a sudden the money goes to the next generation. The money walks out the door because those clients who are now in their 40s or 50s or 60s, they're kids, so to speak, they already have a guy or a girl or a gal, right? They already have somebody that is their financial advisor. They're going to get the inheritance. What is it? $68 trillion, the great wealth transfer. So our system is all about client acquisition, client retention, and generational control that helps to not only solve the problem of the assets going out the door for the advisor, but it also helps with the clients who have the relationship with the advisor for a reason, right? They know how well of a job you're doing for them. Well, when we educate these clients on these contractual arrangements that we put together using our estate plan portfolio, now you're going to be able to retain those assets. We're going to be able to create these trust funds, these distribution funds. And then that's why phase 2 for Epic Services Company will actually be starting our own trust company that's going to be advisor friendly, but on a whole nother advisor friendly level. Not like what your typical trust company that's out there right now, how they call themselves advisor friendly. And I'm not throwing any of them under the bus. I'm just saying
I'll throw them under the bus. Let me do it, Carter. I'll throw them under the bus.
Well, you're going to soundboard it. You're going to beep it. Come on.
But yeah, these other trust companies are really scary. Stick with Carter.
So this again it doesn't exist. What we're putting together doesn't exist. you try to build something better than what what you've seen in the past, right? There's always a better way to do it. The system we're on right now, which by the way, Tim uses this system now. I use this system instead of Zoom because it's real easy to go click, 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 and then you're in there, right? So there's always a better way. But if you always stay focused on elevating the client experience, they're the ones who make you the money, so to speak, right? Your advice would be worthless without the clients, right? It wouldn't even matter. So, but if you stay focused on elevating the client experience, deliver things that no one else is delivering, soup to nuts, cradle to grave, and in perpetuity, leveraging technology, legal protocols, jurisdictional shopping, all these things and everything that we do. The reason why Incline Village, Nevada is where our corporate headquarters are located. It's for a reason, because they've codified in the Nevada revised statutes everything that we do. Everything I just got through talking about is codified. I've already assembled the team. We had the entire process, put together and everything. So, Tim, thanks for teeing that up. I appreciate that. But
great job, Carter.
Adam, I swear,
unbelievable rendition on how to kick butt with your clients. No, it really is. Like I've actually experienced this because my parents are 81, and I've been telling them for 10 plus years. I was a financial advisor, Adam. I don't know if you knew this, but before I got into this, that's why we teamed up and did this, because it was an idea I had with another friend. We never had it. And then, Carter was like, we should do this podcast. I'm like, yeah, we should. I had that idea 5 years ago. But my parents, people just keep putting it off. Not everybody has $100 million, but so they don't think they need an estate plan, but they do. Everybody needs one, because if you don't have a plan, the state has something planned for you. And guess what they have planned for you? Not much. Not very much. Yeah. And if you don't have your, if you don't have your shit together, let's say your spouse, let's say you're a guy out there right now and you're in your 60s and you're still feeling pretty good. You're only on 2 medications at this point. And then all of a sudden, something happens to you. You get Alzheimer's, you get dementia. All right. Now, who's going to take care of you? Well, probably that angel that you married, 30 years ago. She's going to be taking care of you, and you're a big dude and you become stubborn and ignorant, and it's not your fault. It's just your brain doesn't work anymore. Right. And then she can't do it anymore, or she dies. Right. But let's say she can't do it anymore. And then all of a sudden you got to go into care, and that's going to be $5,000, $6,000, $7,000, $8,000, $9,000 a month, depending on where you go. It's going to taper down on your assets pretty quickly. Right. And if you don't have your estate plan in place, and you run out of money, you run out of cash, then you go into state-run care. Well, then they're going to take your house. Wait, you're not there anymore, but your wife is, and they're going to put a lien on that house. So this actually happened to my grandma. My dad tried to talk her into, signing the house over and getting out. She didn't do it, and then she lost everything. And that money could have went to her, but she didn't plan accordingly. So planning for this stuff, we joke around a lot over here, but this is also serious business, because, this is the reality that's happening today. 28% of baby boomers are getting Alzheimer's and dementia, memory loss, and it's on the rise, just like autism is for children. So we've got some major issues going on today with our health, and your poor health doesn't affect just you. It affects everybody else around you, especially the people that you love the most. So that's why we talk about health and wealth, because we want to help you not only, protect your assets and hook up with good financial advisors like Adam here, get your estate plan in place, and then take care of your health so that, but we plan for the worst and expect the best. So anyway, he's been helping Carter help my mom and dad. I went through the process. I have to call Sierra and do the final thing. I've been traveling for the last 3 weeks, but it's easy. It was simple. It's all online. And he's right. You can just log in and make changes, because as a financial advisor, I tell people look, you need a good attorney. They're going to set up your plan. We're going to get it into place. It's about 3 meetings. And, it costs some money, but it's insurance to protect everything you worked hard for. And then you're going to have to meet with them once a year is there any changes? Did the laws change? You have to change the trust. Did you change who you want to be the beneficiaries of certain things, or who's the, whatever. You might want to make some changes instead of going to have to go to the attorney, drive downtown, go up in the elevator to the big building, be intimidated. All these people, you can just log in. Where's my username and password? Boop, change, done. And if you have questions, you just call the attorney network that they have on. So they've got a really slick system. I'm really happy about it. And I promote things that I believe in. And, you know, I love my mom and dad more than anything. So if I'm using Carter's system, it's not because I like Carter. I do like Carter, but I'm doing it because I think it's the best thing for my mom and dad.
I think that's awesome. And I think this day and age, especially if we're not leaning on technology a little bit, that's Philip, my business partner. I'll give him some credit. He always says our fourth partner is technology. And if we're underutilizing it, maybe that's part of why we're at capacity or have capacity issues. So I think it's cool.
Awesome. Yeah. Well, I think it's time for another break. So when we get back, we will flip the script and Adam can ask me any question he wants on health or anything else. I don't really care. We'll be right back.
You want the absolute best for yourself, and you want it to be easy. That's why we created Green 85. It helps with detoxifying the body gently. We're proud it's chemical-free, unlike almost all other supplements you'll find. Bottom line, Green 85 will get you healthier. We look forward to hearing what Green 85 did for you.
To get this product and our other amazing products, go to chemicalfreebody.com. That's chemicalfreebody.com.
Welcome back, Enrichers. Tim James here with my co-host Carter Wilcoxon. Again, in the house today, we have Adam Keller, certified financial planner. Now, you're down in Austin, Texas, right?
I'm in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, but lived
Dallas,
there
Fort Worth.
Yes.
Okay. But you live there.
He's a Longhorn.
Yeah, we just had, oh man, I've talked to like 3 people in the last 2 days that are in Austin, actually.
So Austin's mantra is keep Austin weird. And when I was in Portland that one time, there were stickers everywhere that said keep Portland weird. And I was like, that's epic. At the time I had a really thick beard and I was like, I might need to move here.
Yeah. Well, we could use some help up here because we got a lot of cleanup duty to do in this city.
No pun intended on duty.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. You definitely need your own podcast, brother. We'll hook you up with Justin.
Yeah, love when you duty.
This is the point of the show when we flip the script and we talk about duty. So go ahead, Adam.
I was going to say that's actually a good segue.
You can finish a drink of water if you want. I can like push buttons. I have like
go.
You never heard my harp yet. Here's the harp. Anyway.
That's Adam taking a drink of water. The harp made him spill a little bit down his beard.
Carter, stop it. Tim, it was a good segue on duty because your shirt immediately caught my eye. Love when you poop. How many times a day should you poop? How many times a day is too many? And is it different for everybody's body type? What do we need to know about this?
Those are great questions. I think, about 13 to 20 times is average. That should be, I'm just kidding. It should be about 22, actually.
You're talking shit.
That's true. That's true.
Shit talker.
Well, 2 to 3 bowel movements a day. And, what's really sad is I start thinking about it is that I've ran into so many people that have Crohn's and diverticulitis and diverticulosis and ulcerative colitis and Crohn's and all, leaky gut, their guts are jacked up. I remember a 17-year-old boy that came to one of my classes that I teach at my home, and he was flunking out of school, not because he wasn't bright, but he literally had to wake up at 5 a.m. and sit on the toilet for an hour, and then maybe he could go to school. And then he would just have to, in the middle of class, go. And the teacher was getting pissed off at him because he's like, what are you going to the bathroom for? I've got a bathroom. Nobody goes to the bathroom. Well, dude, you need to do some research there, Teach. You might be really good at English or whatever you're doing, but you don't understand gastrointestinal issues, right? So this kid, he had terrible gastrointestinal issues. And so I started asking him questions, and they had him on all his medications and stuff. I'm like, dude, what are you eating? And he's like, he's eating like skim milk and, and cereal, 2 bowls of that before he goes to bed. And I was just thinking, well, dude, well, there's your problem right there. Think about your intelligent system you have right here, and your inputs are terrible. Like cow's milk. I'm sorry. But if you're listening today, I used to drink tons of cow's milk because milk does a body good, right? That's what Michael Jordan mustache and all that, they're selling you that stuff. But the reality is cow's milk in nature's for a baby cow, and that's it. It's not for anybody else. It's not for a giraffe. It's not for a caterpillar. It's not for humans. It's for a baby cow. and it's designed specifically for that system in the cow. We should only be drinking our mother's breast milk. So, all right, back to the duty. We should be having about 2 to 3 bowel movements a day. And, you shouldn't have to wipe much either. If you have, it should be a fun, enjoyable process. It should be, and it should go in. It should be like Greg Louganis, just a 10, going in there. It should be nice and soft.
Nothing but the bottom of the net.
I was thinking the same thing, Carter.
Should be a swish. Should be a swish. There shouldn't be parasites in it. Okay, we'll say that. But most people are having poop issues. So I've been on 100 plus, maybe 200 podcasts and other people's shows, and I thought I was the only person on earth that was pooping rocks and bleeding rectally. And I can't tell you how many other people have reached out to me and they've got the same problems going on. And guess what? They were eating the same shit I was eating, and they had the same stress levels that I had or worse. Right. So stress is like the number one killer for everything, especially the gut. So we had people that they come to us and we help them clean their gut, recolonize the bacteria, and we start flooding their body with nutrients and doing all these things. And they get better, but they can't quite heal all the way, and they can't figure it out. And every single time that has happened, they've been in a high stress environment. They're either taking care of a loved one with a special need or a special needs child, or a special needs child. And on top of it, they've got a relationship that's not working. Husband and wife are sleeping in different beds. Maybe one of them's a drug addict or alcoholic. It's the same thing. Alcohol is a drug. Taking care, who knows, maybe their teenagers are on drugs, and that's stressing them out, or combination. There's career stress. There's all kinds of things, taking care of elderly parents. So all these things pile up, and then you get that stress. So the one thing that we teach over here is to give people tools to mitigate stress, but first you have to have awareness, just like the ego thing, right? Because a lot of guys are like, I'm not stressed out, I'm fine. And then they go home and drink a 6-pack of beer and numb themselves. Or, they smoke weed and then eat the whole fridge. And then they have a big duty in the morning, right? So these are the things that, people have their hiding places, whether it's food, whether it's sex, whether it's, over-the-counter drugs even, we're not over-the-counter, but, prescription drugs like oxycodones and these types of things. Checking emails, social media, there's hiding places. And all these things are delaying and pushing off the healing, right? So stress is a big one. So I've went about 7 different ways, zigzag, but to go to number 2, you should poop 2 to 3 times a day. And what was the other part of your question?
No, I think you answered it, and it's cool just hearing your approach and kind of the system itself. And if you know the inputs and how to do it properly, it's pretty impressive. It's cool. I like your holistic approach to that. Can I ask another health question?
Yeah, as many as you want, man. We have 4 hours. It's a long one.
Yeah. Dang.
Carter's like, oh God, Tim's already been hogging the mic this one. It's because I got the new mic and headphones.
The board. You mentioned baseball. Carter was talking about Friday Night Lights. Those of us that like to engage in athletic endeavors, joints hurt as you get older. What are some of the things that you find that we're doing wrong to our joints? And then what are some things we can do to improve joint function?
Well, I think as we age, I was brought up, and probably you guys were too, and it's like weightlifting, right? Heavy duty weightlifting. So I'll give you an example. Like when you're doing chest press and you've got 225 pounds there, or whatever you're bench pressing, that's fine when you're out here extended. But as you get here, what you're doing is you're opening up your rotator cuff, as an example, right? And you have all that weight down there, and you don't have a lot of strength down there. So, understanding the body mechanics as an example. So I switched over to elastic bands exercises instead of weights. I mean, I still do weights a little bit here and there, but not too much. And the reason why is because when I'm down here, there's not much resistance. So there's not much stress against my rotator cuff from when my shoulders opened up. But as I go farther and farther away, the resistance goes up, like it's like compounding interest, right? At the end, it's like, whew, it's like growing grass. Then all of a sudden, whew, it gets really hard. And at the very end, there's like lots of growth. Well, there's a lot of, 300-400%. You have all that weight in that last 5 to 7%. And that's last 5 to 7% is where you're actually building your strength and building your muscle and your power. And that's where most of us operate. Like when we run, a sprinter runs, it's that last 5 to 7% of movement that actually propels them. And that's where we're at our strongest. So that's where exercise bands work out really good. Now, the other thing is stretching. If you're 35 or younger, you should be stretching and doing yoga 3 days a week. If you're over 35, it should be 7 days a week. And this is clear as day. I've done this in my own life where I haven't done it. I've done it for long periods of time, stopped doing it and started doing it again. And the stretching component is so critical. And I remember back to these NFL football players that were doing yoga, and they had pictures of them on Sports Illustrated. And there's like 350-pound linemen doing yoga with a bunch of skinny ladies, right? And I'm like, what's he doing that for? Well, it's because their ligaments and tendons and joints were all messed up because of the abuse and the heavy weightlifting and all the stuff they were doing. Now their muscles were strong, but they would get injured and they couldn't play. So an extra year could be an extra $4 or $10 million or $20 million bucks. So they're doing yoga, baby. Like, so every year you could play, that's a lot of money. So I got into that yoga and stretching and learned about fascia, which is actually the largest organ in the body. It's not the skin. Your fascia is the largest organ, and it takes 90 seconds of stretching posture just to warm it up before it starts opening. So that's why Yin Yoga is, I promote that to everyone. It's a very passive, easy type of yoga that you can do at home. You can do it anywhere. Yin Yoga, Y-I-N yoga. And it's 3 to 10 minute stretching postures. And I became a Yin Yoga instructor, and I've had many people that I've taught classes to. And then afterwards are like, call me up, like my chiropractor's like, dude, he's like, my hips were so open for snowboarding the next day. And he started coming back. And I've taught yoga to a lot of people, and they start joining yoga memberships and doing this kind of stuff. So with that said, you have to be very smart about how you're strengthening your body. Number 2, you have to stretch and do yoga and stuff like that. Yin Yoga is a good place to start. And then number 3 is inflammation. This is a huge problem for people today. So as soon as your naked body breaks contact with Mother Earth, you start inflammation. Mother Earth has a frequency. Adam, have you heard of the term grounding or earthing?
I think I've heard of grounding, but maybe not to the degree that you are going to talk about it. So enlighten me, my man.
Yeah, so you hear about, women like barefoot and pregnant, right? Well, there's a reason for that. We go on vacation. Why do we get barefoot? We go on the beach. It's because we're reconnecting with nature, and we forget that we are nature. Okay, there is no difference between you and the forest. You are one in the same. We're all connected. Very, very. It's amazing, actually, when you really learn about it and feel it, and you have that inside of you instinctually. So the earth gives off some frequency. You look up a compass, it kind of moves, right? What's moving the needle? Well, there's a frequency giving off from the earth that's moving that compass. Again, as soon as you make barefoot contact or with your bare skin to Mother Earth, instantly your body's enveloped in that frequency again, and it's literally charging your cells and reducing inflammation, right? So if you look on my desk right here, I have this is a grounding pad. I'm touching it all the time. I have another one down there with bare feet that I work bare feet during the day, so I'm grounding. And then I've got a grounding mat or a sheet on my bed, and you can buy these things, and then you can be grounded 24/7. So how do you do it? Well, every commercial and residential building has a iron rod driven down into the ground. And then that is the foundation to the electrical grid in your home or your office. It's the third prong. That's the frequency. So that iron rod through that electrical grid brings that in, and you just take these units and you just plug them in, and you are now enveloping yourself in that frequency inside of your house. So it's a very smart thing to do to reduce inflammation in the body. Another thing that reduces inflammation is water. Drinking lots and lots of purified, and if you're in the city tap water, restructured water. Very important to be flooding your body. Always. It's a lubricant of life. Water's like, I would say number 2 on the list of needs behind air. If we're going to go, because you can live without air for about 4 to 7 minutes, water, maybe, 7 to 11 days, sleep about 11 days, and then, food would be next. So water is really important. There are also other things you can do to reduce inflammation. One of them, we have a product. I'm pulling it out without even looking. Are you familiar with turmeric?
Yeah, root? Actually, my buddy Brian started making this juice with turmeric, cayenne pepper, lemon juice, something else, and so he got me. That's good.
Well, that's really good. The lemon juice, when it hits your saliva glands, is very alkalizing. It goes from acid to alkaline. The cayenne pepper that he's putting in there is actually increasing blood flow, which is awesome. And then the turmeric is actually really good anti-inflammatory. Inside of it, there's these things called curcuminoids. These are the anti-inflammatory properties, curcumin or curcuminoids, that are inside of a turmeric root and in turmeric products. So if you're going to get a turmeric product, you want it to be 95% curcuminoids, which ours is. But a lot of them, they have to put black pepper in it because you're taking them and taking them internally, right? So they're going through the gastrointestinal tract. When you're only getting it at about 10 to 30% absorption that way, that's why they put the black pepper in there to increase absorption, because there's a substance in it called piperine or piperine, whatever you want to pronounce it. Okay. So what we did is we saw a study where they took turmeric root and they micronized it, and which means they made it really tiny. Okay. They took raw materials and they made it mechanically small enough that it'll go through the blood-brain barrier. And usually, so what we saw in that study is the anti-inflammatory was amazing. It went up like 185 times more absorbable and anti-inflammatory, like off the charts. So that's what we did. We took the 95% curcuminoids, we micronized 100% of it, and you have turmeric 100. And it says, I squirt this in my mouth, 20 drops in the morning and 20 drops at night. And for me, as a trail runner, I could go from trail running once a week hardcore to twice a week, right? Rocks up and down hills. You know, when you're running down hills, that's really hard on the knees and stuff. So it was my knees that was getting the inflammation. Again, I'm 48 going on 49. So that was one thing. So now you've got you're drinking lots of good water. You're drinking the grounding mat, or not drinking the grounding mat. Don't do that. Sleep on it, stand on it, whatever. And you're doing the turmeric. Now, the other thing that will reduce inflammation is infrared saunas, like big time. Carter, did you get your sauna yet?
I haven't gotten it yet. I know.
What the heck are you doing over there?
I know. You even gave me the big, huge discount and everything, and I just have not ordered it yet. And you know, so funny, Christina was just talking about needing to get the infrared.
Get your Christmas present. Yeah. Anybody listening today, let me give you, besides our products, give you a freaking, these are golden nuggets I'm dropping here. Like, people pay me thousands of dollars to get this information. I just like, do this, do that, do that. And they put it in their lifestyle and voila. So two things that I added in the last year was this. I've been saunaing for 9 years. I've been selling them. I think I have found the best brand because I do my homework. I'm like a super researcher on this stuff. A year ago, I got into this other sauna for 10 minutes, or I learned about it. And then about 9 months ago, I got into it. In 10 minutes, I knew I could no longer sell the other ones. This sauna company from Taiwan has broken natural law, and they're delivering 98% pure infrared. Bottom line is it doubles to triples the core temperature of your body, and it's 6 to 9 times more beneficial than any of the other saunas. Now, all the other saunas are good. There's good ones. As long as they don't have EMFs, electromagnetic frequency, that's not good. You don't want to be zapped while you're trying to heal. Stupid. So the one I was selling, virtually no EMFs, big box saunas, they're great, but they're like, $3, $4, $5, $6, $7 grand, and they're big. These are little, and they're like $1,300 to $1,900. They take up very little room. You plug them into a 110. They actually wrap up into a little travel case, and you can take them with you. So anyway, you get in these things. So I started getting in this sauna, and then guess what? I can trail run every day now. I have no inflammation. Now, I think there's also, because I started doing some magnesium, be clear there, I do magnesium foot soaks, and I know that's a master nutrient because I kind of cracked that code. That's episode 56 on the Health Hero Show, my other podcast, and episode 61 is the sauna. So those two things, the magnesium foot soaks, the sauna, the turmeric, grounding, and drinking a whole bunch of really cool, clean, restructured water. You stack those things together, dude, you're gonna feel like 20 years younger. And I've shared that stack with tons and tons of people, and our products are alkalizing too. The other ones, the greens and all that other stuff. But
man, I'm taking notes here, and then I had a question because we're all about abundance on this trio today. Have you abundantly shared your infrared by going to a Korean sauna and spa and just being in there with like 20 other people?
I haven't. One thing that I won't do is I won't wear a mask.
Oh, that's true. I haven't done it since COVID, but before that, dude, those places are awesome, especially as, again, big-eared white boy going in and you're in the Korean spot and you stand out a little bit.
Yeah.
But it's a cool cultural experience.
Yeah,
so if you're not
like
cool with nudity, stay away from the wet area, but it's cool. It's fun.
You should be cool with nudity because we should just get rid of our clothes. That's it. We don't even need them. Let's just run around. It's like all this. It's taking down those walls. We were talking about that earlier, right? I actually ran into a guy who was a raw food chef down in Florida. He's a friend of mine now. He turned me on to my original formulator that got me making the green stuff. But He's funny, man. He was funny. He was, following the Grateful Dead around when he was a kid, and met his wife there. And that's Wendy. And I met her. She was working at the Hippocrates Health Institute at the time where I started my journey. My health turned around, and he's got a crazy story. I should get him on, Carter, and we'll tell his story. Like, he was like one of the biggest marijuana dealers like in the world. Whoa. He was hooking up with the people, like the guy who the king or whatever, the president of Vietnam and son or something like that. And they were just moving massive amounts. He had his own helicopter and he had his own private place in Kauai, and he got caught and they busted him, and I think he paid off a DA to get his sentence down to like 10 or 12 years or something like that. Because the DA was buddies with the defendant attorney or whatever, his defense attorney. Right. Crazy story. But anyway, this guy was like making some food for us, because you're a raw food chef too. And his pants fell off right when he was making it. And he hadn't even underwear on. He was just making it. And it was just me and this other friend of his, but like he didn't even blink. He was just his pants fell down. He was just like, kept doing his stuff, and there he is with his ass hanging out. And me and his buddy were sitting there laughing our asses off, because it was like nothing happened. And what a great place to be. Like, if you get to a point where, like, you just get thrown out there and you're naked and you just don't care. I mean, think about it. Dogs don't care. Cats don't care. Giraffes don't care. Nobody cares except humans. Where'd all that crap come from?
Yeah.
Ego,
the Puritans.
Yeah, it's a bunch of crap. In fact, this book here, Being in Love, he says that from 0 to 7, we should just leave our kids alone and let them be. Don't put any religions on them. Don't let them do anything. Just let them be themselves, and they can run around naked, do whatever they want. And from 7 to 14, he said that he guessed that over 90% of all the pornography and all the stuff would be gone if we just let boys and girls run around outside naked. Then there wouldn't be such a big deal about, looking at each other's genitals, because it would just be a normal, natural thing. It's like, I've seen a bazillion of them. Who cares?
Yeah,
right? I think all this weird stuff that's going on in people's minds.
Even between the U.S. and you mentioned Lisbon and Spain, and it's so different, the level of taboo here versus there on certain things, and vice versa. And it's easy to see it when you remove yourself from your culture and you see it in other places. So yeah. I would imagine the U.S. and I don't know. I would imagine the U.S. has higher instances of porn and things of that nature.
It's scary. It's really bad. It's something like 8 out of 10 boys, like 10 to 12 or something like that, are doing it, and 3 or 4 out of like children, like 8 to 10 are watching pornography.
Which is, it's scary with a 13 and a 9-year-old.
Look on their phone, or look on dad's, mom's phone. They go in there and look at it. So, you know, if we have so many smart adults, why are we allowing that to happen? Yeah, we've gotten lazy and we've been entertained. So there's a lot of work to be done. So did you have any more questions for me, Adam, about health?
Man, I could talk to you for days, but I know we have time constraints here. And I'm actually, I'm excited to learn a little bit more about Epic Services, because I'm one of those advisors that actually is probably weird and enjoys the nuance of working with clients and their attorneys. But you also realize from a scalability standpoint, you cannot do that beyond a certain number of cases. And so having a tool like that in an arsenal as one of our stack to be able to go, here's an option, here's an option, here's an option. They're all quality. It really comes back to what your preference is and how you want to engage in a service. I think that'd be cool. Cool to learn. Well, good timing with the partner, the planning retreat coming up, and talking about business planning for the new year and those kind of things.
There you go. Yeah. So, obviously you're going to be out here in Phoenix, Arizona, next month and everything. And I promise you, I'm coming up to Flagstaff where you guys are going to be at. I mean, I've got friends up there and everything. Pine Canyon area is where we go up to and vacay on a regular basis. So I'm looking forward to being able to actually see you, physically. We can be able to, press the flesh and
that'd be awesome.
Have a cocktail. Make sure we drink plenty of,
water.
Carter, we're going to put turmeric in whatever cocktail we drink.
No matter what it is.
Yeah, you will. That'll balance you out there. Carter, we need to take the show on the road. We need to get hooked up with these financial advisor organizations, and when they have these big events, we need to be there.
Totally.
We need to be there.
Totally.
That's actually a really solid idea. You guys both know, you've been in wealth management. When you go to like the Financial Planning Association or Financial Advisor Magazine, they have a really diverse group of speakers that are there. You guys have, myriad podcasts under your belt. So you have the chops. You should hit them up. Why not?
Yeah. Tim, that'll be fun. You know what's funny? Interesting story, Enrichers, in case you didn't know from any of the other podcasts. Tim and I have never met one another, right? He's threatened to come to Phoenix a time or two, but he never has. And of course,
I almost did when I bought that trailer in Georgia.
I know.
I got such a good deal on it, and then my super deal on getting it brought up here fell through, so I just sold it, and I bought it and sold it. Never seen it. I never saw it in person. Sucked.
That's awesome.
Oh, that's
flipping trailers.
I'm a trailer dealer.
You're a trailer dealer?
Yeah, I'm a trailer dealer.
Well, you are now.
I make money everywhere I go, Carter.
Yeah. And that's
trailers, pickups.
That's the beauty of technology. You can make
actually bought a pickup.
Where you go.
Didn't like it because I don't know why. I got a gas. I got a short bed. I knew better. I bought it, but the market's all weird. A dealer paid me $5,000 more than what I bought it for, and I drove it for like 6 months. So I was like, well, he's like, I'll be out to your house. I'm like, okay. He's like, what do you want for? I'm like, I don't know, 53.5. He's like, done. I was like, God dang it, how much did I leave on the table? He's like, not much. I was like, all right. Like, when do you put $5,000 in your pocket? I mean, because I knew I made money when I bought it, because I was like, I'm looking for a deal. So that was cool. Now I got my long bed diesel, and just got my tire chains on with my ice grips. So I'm going to go get some straps on those suckers and see if they fit. If not, I might have to cut out a link or two and fit them myself. But it's just that's the way it is. So anyway, Adam, dude, thank you for coming on the show today. Carter, I'm glad you could come along for the ride.
Yeah, thanks a lot. Hey, thanks for having me today. Occasionally, for a little bit of time.
I'm just so excited about my new setup. I got headphones. I've got this Shure SM7B. That's the mic you need, Adam. And then hook him up with Justin.
I'll
be your first guest on your podcast.
Hey, the Bob Barker microphone, like the price is right. It's adjustable, bro. Come on, man.
That's pretty cool. Hey, you got to start somewhere.
It's not all about the girth. Simmer down.
Oh, I love it. It's the motion of the ocean, baby.
Yeah.
That's what it's all about. Exactly. Well, hey, Enrichers, thank you again for joining us for another fantastic episode. Make sure to go to our website, www.thehealthandwealthpodcastshow.com, to see any of our previous shows. But make sure for sure that you share, like, and subscribe for this podcast for sure, because Adam Keller from Three Oaks Advisory was phenomenal. For my co-host, Mr. Tim James, Mr. Chemical Free Body himself, I'm Carter Wilcoxon, CEO and co-founder of Epic Services Company. And we thank you for coming on and listening to another episode. Again, you can find us on Google, on Spotify, and Apple Podcasts, or wherever else that you get your podcast. Adam Keller, thank you again for coming on and being a fantastic guest on the show. And we will see you quite literally soon. Everybody have an abundant day and have a great weekend. Happy Halloween. This is our Halloween episode, so happy Halloween to everybody as well. And we'll see you next time on the Health and Wealth Podcast Show. Thank you, everybody.
Thanks for having me, guys.
Bye, guys.
Hey, Enrichers. Thanks for tuning in to another episode of the Health and Wealth Podcast. I'm your host, Carter Wilcoxon.
And I'm your host, Tim James. And by God, we are committed to helping you guys have fat wallets, flat bellies. So tune in again for another episode, and make sure to like, share, and drink a lot of water.
Or beer.
You have just listened to the Health and Wealth Podcast with Carter and Tim.